We now have 45 minutes to tell you just a little bit from Climate KIC. It's quite a tough order, actually, because absolutely everything we do involves going across sectors, bringing business, education, research together. My slides are. So this has to be just a very small selection of what we do. So the approach that we decided to take is I'll give a brief overview with one or two short examples. And then I have two colleagues here who are going to tell you what real life is like and what the KIC has done for them, because we thought that might give you a better flavor of what things are, rather than yet another sort of overview presentation. But I think at the very beginning, just to say, I'm following on from Alex's talk, actually the community is really what's most important. And you can organize things. It's a little bit like a conference, I guess. You get a lot from the talks, but actually it's the informal conversations over coffee that are particularly useful. And it's the same sort of thing with a KIC. So we can engineer a lot, but actually just bringing people together is really important. And it's that chance, that serendipity that gives you the really great things. So the first thing I'd say is that, yes, it is research and business and education, but don't forget the public bodies as well. You know, it's a three-dimensional pyramid, not necessarily a triangle. And we have partners that spread all of those sectors. And as I said yesterday, we bring them together, but in the context of our three pillars. So first of all, then, we do bring people together. And how do we bring people together? Well, we obviously have electronic mechanisms, but we bring them together physically. Annually, we have an annual festival. We had it in Budapest last year, and it'll be in Bologna this year. But we have our ideas marketplaces, which have proved enormously effective, where this year we've had 3. We've brought together 60 or 70 people in focused areas to really brainstorm. So they come with ideas, but they exchange ideas and they build projects, they build programs together. And so we've held them in our co-location centers in Germany, in the Netherlands, and in France. And then actually we ended up with a 4th, which we called our Innovation Summit in London on the 14th of June, where we brought the outcome of all those 3 previous ideas marketplaces together. And what I'd like to do now is just to take you through the 3 pillars and give you 1 or 2 examples of where we've really made linkages right across the KIC. So first of all, I talked to you about our challenge platforms yesterday. And I've brought this up as an example because these are really the platforms where we integrate everything, where we integrate the research, the education, we bring in the business and the public bodies. And those platforms, although there's a top-down sort of coordination, have really come up from the bottom, and they've emerged from those ideas marketplaces. And that's been really the most crucial thing. And I suppose the real moral is that you can't construct these things automatically. You have to bring people together. If you want new partners, you bring them in through programs or projects. You have the hearts and minds that emerges from when you actually bring your community together. Within each of those projects or project areas that sit within a platform, then really players right across the KIC will be involved. Education. You've heard a lot about, in fact, all of these 3 areas in the separate groups. So there'll be at least 1/3 of you, I know, who have heard these stories before. So my apologies, but the other 2/3 have not. The education program, we have a whole range of activities, all of which will go across the sectors. That will be not just education, there will be research involved, there will be business participation involved. But I'd like to give just one example, which in fact you have just heard about, but I'll give you, I hope, a slightly different angle. So the journey, which forms the beginning of all our master's and PhD student programs, but can actually be taken independently by students from anywhere worldwide. is a very intensive 5-week program where students at the moment visit 2 co-location centres, but from next year onwards, it's very likely it'll be 1 co-location centre in one of the regions. And they go out there, they have expert lectures, but they also go out to visit partners from all the different sectors, from business, from research, the public bodies, to find out actually what is happening on the ground, what's the latest research, what are the problems that face regional councils, what are businesses doing. They also have business coaching, and as you've heard, they have a competition, and they come together with business pitches. And several startups have emerged from that with a range of different types of external funding. As you've heard, there's a very healthy alumni association. In fact, the students themselves initiated it and are now in the process of becoming a legal entity because they want to become an affiliate partner of our KIC. So they really will have a firm link with us, and it'll be a long-term relationship where not only can we keep supporting them, but conversely, they will be a real fount of information and experience for the KIC and for future students. Talking to the president of the Alumni Association, I asked her, what did the education program do for you? And she said, well, there was the physical science of climate change, the real knowledge that we gained from it. There was how to set up a process, and then there was meeting ambitious people from different scientific and cultural backgrounds. And if you put the whole together, then it gave us an entrepreneurial mindset and confidence. And there was a really nice quote that one of the students gave, which was the most important thing I gained from Climate KIC, apart from the friends, of course. It was the entrepreneurial spirit that will always remain with me. And that really illustrates how we can bring all the elements together for something like the education program. And actually, what we do is to convert people from coming in as an education program, and they go out as an entrepreneur, really understanding all those different sectors. Entrepreneurship, our third pillar, also has a range of offerings, and Hero will have told one of the subsets yesterday about that. We have the incubator network that goes right across the KIC and includes incubators from business as well as research institutions, masterclass programs, venture competition, open slams. We have SME vouchers. You'll hear a little bit more about that, I think, in a moment. The Climate Market Accelerator I thought I would pick out because actually the last on the list, the Pioneers into Practice, you will also hear a little bit about in a moment from one of our other speakers. So the Market Accelerator is a model that we've developed really because for climate change, the market is very young and it's very scattered. And so the Accelerator is a program whereby, on the one hand, we look at the demands from the market, or demands, the challenges, and particularly we use our public sector bodies for that, but obviously all of our partners. And so we identify the challenges, what the demands are for climate change adaptation and mitigation, and then we have an internal radar that tells us what the portfolio of innovation within the KIC actually is. And then we can put the two together. We have various mechanisms whereby we can accelerate the transfer from the innovation to the market. So again, that's something that we couldn't do without the KIC community. It really requires all the sectors and all the sectors talking to each other. So I would like to finish there, having given you examples of how all our research projects actually are not just research projects. They involve business, they involve education because the students are involved in working on them, how our students go across all those sectors as well, and how our entrepreneurship offerings also unite all the different elements of our community. So I hope that's given you just a little taster of what goes on. As I say, everything involves going across the whole community. I think community is the most important thing that we have. But I'm now going to stop. You've heard enough from me, and I'd like you to hear from two people who've had quite different but very intense experiences from Climate KIC. So first of all, you have Christoph Williams from Naked Energy. I'll hand over to Christoph, and then we'll introduce Sixto afterwards. Christoph.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. It's a real pleasure being here. My name is Christoph Williams. I'm the Managing Director of Naked Energy. Naked Energy is a design and innovation business specializing in solar technology. We're developing a new product called Virtue. It's a hybrid solar technology. At the core of the technology, we have some heat transfer technology, which is over 90% efficient. And that effectively creates a platform to integrate the photovoltaic cells. And in high insulation environments, that has created an uplift of over 46% in electrical output. And effectively, what this means is we collect more energy per square meter than conventional technology. So it's a very exciting breakthrough, and I'll give you a little bit of a background on our journey so far. Last year, we won the Shell Springboard Award, and we got to the regional finals at Cambridge University, which we won, £40,000 from Shell, which was an excellent springboard. That raised our profile, enabled us to then gain some significant seed investment from business angels, enabled us to accelerate our technology development, expand the team, and that created a really good introduction to Imperial College. And that's where our relationship started with Imperial, where we started testing some of the subsystems, and primarily it was the thermal subsystems. It was at that point that we were introduced to the Climate KIC and saw the opportunity of what a unique proposition the Climate KIC is. And as an early stage technology company, it was obviously very, very attractive and key introduction. So we became affiliate partners, and we were introduced and applied for the venture competition in Budapest, which I'm very pleased to say that we won. Fantastic SME competition, and we received €15,000 from the Climate KIC as a prize from that. It was obviously very well received and was fantastic as well. Shortly after that, we were nominated by the UK Climate KIC to go and compete in the EIT Entrepreneurship Competition in Brussels, which was, again, another fantastic competition, and met lots of other very interesting partners within the Climate KIC. I'm very pleased to say that we also won that. And shortly after that, we received an SME voucher. An SME voucher was to basically carry out a detailed work package to analyze the solar thermal technology that's inside Virtue. That was hugely beneficial to Naked Energy because it allowed us to accelerate and do some really detailed analysis of some of the subsystems. In March this year, we were selected by the UK Trade and Investment and Technology Strategy Board in the UK to go on a trade mission to San Francisco. Again, that was a fantastic eye-opener. We met some Silicon Valley investors and corporate partners out there. That was a really a fantastic trip where the actual main core idea was about global partnership. Excellent. And in April, we were featured in the main article in the Sunday Times in the energy environment section of the business section of the Sunday Times. So that was, again, enormous profile raising for us. So we were entering a very critical stage in Naked Energy's development. And so this slide really shows sort of the uniqueness of the Climate KIC and how Naked Energy is placed within it and how we see it as such a unique ecosystem for an early stage technology company. So we're sat well and truly as an SME in the middle, and as I've explained, we've already done research to a great detail with Imperial. We're also very excited about other research and innovation areas, for example, like Delft University. They have fantastic facilities for solar simulation. So we've done extensive research. But we're also within the entrepreneurship pillar within the Climate KIC. We're getting fantastic business support at the moment. It's a really useful resource. We've also been collaborating with a final year mechanical engineer student in Imperial. He's done detailed analysis, again, of some of the thermal dynamics of the solar system. Been priceless resource. And we're also looking at trying to take on some PhDs as well to collaborate with us as an engineering resource over the next 2 years, 3 years. Later this year, we're going into production to produce some pilot products, to do some trials. And at that stage, we're in discussions with hopefully getting some pioneers into practice students to come in and actually partake and see the development, the rollout of the technology. But also, very importantly, very important facet of the Climate KIC is the affiliate partners and the other network who are also partners, customers. For us, it's extremely exciting to be able to talk to all the new partners as in sort of rollout of our technology. But at the moment, we're at the stage where we're looking to do some pilot projects and trials, and that's in the next coming months. So that's an overview of the Climate KIC and what Naked Energy has been doing the last few months. That's it. Thank you very much.
So, thank you very much, Christoph. I think that illustrates various things. The first one is really, we talk about a pipeline, and obviously some of our innovation will start at the beginning and will work all the way through to marketable products or policies. But of course, there's entry at points all the way along, and Naked Energy is an example of an entry that came in sort of relatively late in terms of the research and the development. But it's been a huge success story. So I hope that's given you a little vignette as to the sort of things that Climate KIC can do. It's an example also of something that came up yesterday in the discussion, which is not just interaction between, say, research and business, but actually interaction between different parts of business, interaction between small business, SMEs, and big business. And Christoph probably doesn't want to go on too much to say what might be just down the line, but we've been doing a lot of work with Naked Energy, putting them in contact with some big business who might be very interested in what they're doing. And I hope next time there's a conference, we can bring Christoph back and actually finish the success story off. But as I say, I hope that's given you a good example of some of the things that we can do. Now, our next speaker is Sixto, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this very well, but anyway, Antonio Hernandez. And he's going to tell you about the Climate KIC Pioneers into Practice program. This is something that has been very much pioneered by the regions, although from next year onwards, it will be a collaboration between regions and the co-location centres. And as you've heard from Christoph, it will involve industry as well as many other partners, and SMEs as well as big industry. So Sixto.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm trying to tell you about my experience as a pioneer in the last year in this program that inside the Climate KIC, one of the activities that we are developing in this. Well, as you can see, we have different programs inside the KIC. One of them is the Pioneer into Practice, okay? In this one, we want to show how we can learn. It's a new way to learn, doing things with people coming from very different countries, very different parts of Europe, and also with very different backgrounds. Pioneers are students, new graduates, and also people with several years of experience, like, for example, me, no? We want to do this focus on the people, on the places, and they can work. I think that it's very important to know how things are going on inside the institution, the university, the research center, the public administration, and also, of course, the industry. So these programs is to promote the cross experience between different people in different areas. Basically, we have to do 4 weeks on a placement dealing with thematics related, of course, with the low carbon programs. Okay. Of course, we have to share our knowledge, our experience in some of the workshops that the KIC will organize. And also, it's important, we are mentored very important and very experienced organizations from very different areas, from very different parts of Europe, very experienced, institutions in Europe. Okay? We have the opportunity to develop our ideas, to know how people are doing in different areas. It's very important because, as you know, Europe is very different. We have very different cultural system, and also we are doing things in very different ways. So I think that was a program that I will tell you later my personal experience, that how we can share very different experience from South Europe, North Europe, East Europe, West Europe. It's important, this. Well, a small overview of the program is basically what we want to do is the program is to move people from 6 regions, the regions that are 6 regions in different countries. West Midlands in England, Silesia in Poland, Emilia-Romagna in Italy, Valencia in Spain, that is the region I come in, Hessen in Germany, and I think that I forgot nothing. So we want to develop also the different practice and to choose which one of the best of these can be promoted to producing a new business, a new startups, to collect the best experience and to put on the market. Okay. Well, basically, Pioneers was starting in 2010 as a pilot experience. Second year was last year with a big experience with 50 pioneers across the different regions in Europe. And this year is the first real one. As you can see, the number of pioneers and the collaborators is growing up. And right now, 153, sorry about that. Okay, so that program is growing year by year. Well, as Mary said before, the most important thing is pyramid of the innovation with the 4 main actors, okay? The government and public bodies, the research, education, and business. We have to put all together for doing this. As you can see, the different collocation centers, in Paris, Switzerland, Germany, and also London, and the 6 regions that belongs to this experience, the 6 RIC regions. Well, I want to show you some experience of pioneers across Europe. This one is one of my colleagues in Valencia. Is working for energy efficiency, has his own company, a small company, and he went to Germany to share, to know about how things are going there and how he can learn more about. Look at what I said before. We have students, we have new graduates, we have people with a lot of years of experience, so it's open to everybody. It's important. Next, this is a research coming from England. It's involved in climate and low carbon technologies and how to mitigate the climate change. He went to Valencia, our region, and he learned about new systems, new toolkits for buildings. How we can do buildings more energy efficient. Next one, also coming from Hungary to Valencia. This Lasso went to Castellón City Council, and this is a city in the north of the region, and was learning about the energy policies in the city. And my personal experience, I went to Birmingham City Council in England, the West Midlands, and what means for me this? Well, this is important that I'm working in a research center, Instituto Tecnológico de la Energía in Valencia, So I went to a public administration. In this case, a local public administration. For me, it was very useful to know how the administration can implement, or first can define and after implement different policies on the strategy to low carbon emissions in the city. That means in energy efficiency, that means in new transport systems, or improve the transport system that they have. That means the integration of renewable energies. That means to change how the way that they are purchasing the energy, the way that they are doing the energy. So it was very interesting for a man that is not working on the administration, like me, is working on research, on managing research. I'm not a researcher, I am a project manager. So how a man that is working on a research center and is a coordinator of European projects can know inside the public administration, in this case a local public administration, how they can define these policies and implement. Also for me it was very, very useful to know how the Birmingham City Council is collaborating and the network of partnership that they have with universities in the region, with research centers in the region, and also with industry and small companies in the region. Was very interesting. The cultural system and the economic system are different from Spain to England. It's very different, so for me it was very useful to know new ways of collaboration, and very important, how the administration can collaborate with private sector. This is important and is something that in our case we have to improve. So for me it was a nice experience, and now when I have to talk with public bodies in my country, in my region, I always have in my mind the experience that I got from this place. So I want to show you that was very interesting and very useful for a man with several years of experience like me, as will be useful also for very young people in this program. It's a program that is for everybody. Well, what we new challenge for PIP, okay? To show the impact the pioneers having in the regional innovation ecosystem, okay, we have to know how we are doing and in our impact in our region where we are working, okay? To provide assistant business projects of RIC support program, of course, we have to be one of the main actors of the program, okay? We have to translate our experience to the program and to show how we can do these things. Okay, again, we are involved with the placement of this year. In my case, I'm not a pioneer this year, but I am involved in how prepare new placement for new pioneers, and also how we the mentor of these new people coming to in this case Valencian region. Okay, and also it's very important to be part of the new platforms. Mary said before, the new platforms that are start up right now inside the KIC. The platform will be the arm in which the KIC can do things and can implement new programs and new projects. Okay, and to provide group. Okay, also we have to provide our experience to another regions in Europe. Okay, we are on the front. Okay, but of course we have to be the example for other people and for other regions in Europe. Well, as we said in Spain, this is the map in Europe. This is the innovation diagram, and thank you. Gracias.
Sixto, thank you very much. So from that, with the pioneers, I guess just a few sort of things to draw out from it. I mean, the first one was that it was listed under entrepreneurship, but actually it's also professional education, and I think is a wonderful example. We can never quite decide which pillar it belongs to, and that's true for almost everything with the KIC, because everything is interrelated. It also highlights something I mentioned after Christoph's talk, which is we don't just start at the beginning of the pipeline and work our way through. We join it at many different points. So we don't just train young students and wait for them to grow older. We take pioneers at all sorts of different ages and at all sorts of different entry points in that pipeline. Past pioneers, yes, there have been all sorts of benefits, as Sixto has shown you. Obviously for the pioneers themselves and the companies or the institutions that they work for, and helping the individual and then their institution to cross those barriers. But actually they've gone on to do a lot more than that. They've done a lot for the KIC community as well. So there are pioneers who were pioneers in 2010 who actually have been the host for other pioneers in 2011. So they've actually contributed to the program. There are pioneers who are now playing leading roles in the regions where they first did their pioneering. So they've become very closely involved in the community. And then, of course, they really are our change agents. They go out. We have 150, 180 a year now. That's a lot of people going out into all those regions, actually changing the culture and changing the culture of Europe. And that was something we heard yesterday as being a major problem, well, that the audience felt, and I agreed with the audience, was a major problem in innovation. So they are part of our cohorts of change agents, alongside, obviously, all our other students, to change the culture of Europe. And then, yes, finally, as Sixto mentioned at the end, with the platforms, I think one of the most relevant platforms for pioneers is the platform I described as the 8th platform, which was making transitions happen. When you've got innovation, how do you convince citizens? How do you convince regional governments? How do you convince companies to actually take those innovations on board? And I think our cohort of pioneers is going to be extremely important in that. So that's given you what I hope are two sort of vignettes into what Climate KIC is doing. And with the pioneers you've just heard, going back to Christoph and describing really how he came to Climate KIC, how they became a partner, how his company has developed by being in contact with many opportunities, but then actually how his company has become part of the community as well. So actually it doesn't matter how you come in contact with Climate KIC, you end up helping us and becoming part of the Climate KIC family. So that's how we operate, how we hope that our effect will become greater and greater, and we can penetrate not only Europe, but obviously climate change is a global challenge. And we hope we can be much more effective, I think, than just the politicians coming together in Rio. We actually are going to give you the innovation on the ground. Now, we've done the impossible and we've finished early. I don't know if anyone would like to ask questions of me, but perhaps particularly my colleagues who've really got the experience on the ground. Then please do.
I'd like to ask a question about the Pioneers program, because we heard in the previous session about the leverage factor of EIT. I mean, is an essential element here that this is catalytic money for leverage in relation to the structural funds? Because clearly what you're doing could be well financed under the smart specialization strategy that's being developed in parallel to Horizon 2020.
Basically, that's absolutely correct, and that's what we're working on with the regions. Initially, we've put quite a lot of our KIC money into it to get it off the ground, but that's exactly what we're doing. And as you know, we're in discussion with many different components of the Commission, but particularly the regions and structural funds. Yep.
Hi, Terry Wilkins from the University of Leeds. To balance things up, a question to Christoph. I very much like the presentation. It looks as though things are moving quite rapidly. And in the NMP program, in the industrial technologies, and looking forward to the key enabling technologies, manufacturing is one of the areas, smart manufacturing, accelerating these kind of innovations into application is going to be quite important. And looking at what you're doing at this rate, you're going to need big funds sooner or later to build factories and things to start to put these things on the ground in some quantity. Do you feel you're in a position where you can access those kind of funds? And is there perhaps more that the European Union can do to make them ready for you when you need them?
Thank you. It's a fantastic question. It's very much part of our business strategy at the moment. Yes, things are accelerating incredibly quickly. We're getting, not just within the Climate KIC, a lot of fantastic partners, but a key factor is the production costs, where we do it, the cost of production, production processes, and even at the prototyping stage, we're all very conscious of trying to keep that to a minimum. So we are currently partnering with a UK manufacturing partner, which we'll be publishing fairly soon, and that's to get us through the pilots. And we're planning on doing these installations later this year, but with hopefully major scale up next year, 2013, and that's the stage where that'll be beyond probably our existing shareholders. We need to look at existing external funds and significant funds, because to be able to compete on a mass market model, even though it's an innovative and differentiated technology, we still need to get the cost per watt in the right area. There is only so much of a premium that the consumer will take. So I would very much welcome the conversations and discussions with European entities to actually fund and support our growth, because ultimately, yes, it will be green jobs, carbon abatement. Excellent. I mean, that's right, because we want it to be a fluid transition, because obviously you have a limited window of opportunity and innovation, and we want to make sure we can go through the pilots to scale as rapidly as possible. And we're looking at European partners. We would like to keep it based in Europe, because it's innovation, and we need to stay close to that innovation. And there's partners all the way across the board, from production to distribution to installation, integration, engineers, monitoring. It really is a wonderful platform to start, but it has to start with the innovation. I think we've definitely got that, but I welcome your comment. We will need the support very soon.
Hello? Can I raise a question? Yeah, we hear a lot about very interesting cases here, but we're also dealing with with public money. So I wonder if you could comment a little bit on how you select all your cases, your participants in the various programs, the startups, or whatever, to maintain some kind of transparency.
Sorry, I didn't quite get the question, but how we select the startups that we then support, yes. Or
so not to have.
Sorry.
There are also people who don't get your support, and so how do you explain to them? And what are the criteria? How is your system set up to handle that selection procedure?
Basically, we try to use, I suppose, the collocation centres as a sort of one-stop shop. They will enter through the collocation centres. So, for example, Christoph entered through the UK co-location centre. Co-location centres have a certain budget that they can spend on entrepreneurial support, and therefore will review the potential candidates and assess which ones they think are worth investing in. Actually, it was the UK co-location centre, and I can see Richard sitting there just in front of you, and he might like to add to this since he's part of the Naked Energy story.
And my question is really, do you have a formalized set of criteria that you follow there?
Yes, we do. And yeah, obviously, one has to make value judgments based on that. But Richard, I don't know, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple. So we're going through the process again at the moment, and we have forms, and we formally interview the candidates and make a selection from those candidates, and in the normal way. We try and make it not overly bureaucratic, though. And I think that when you're making selections of which startups or SMEs you're going to support, there are elements there which are to do with gut instincts about the team that's in front of you. Are they for real? Are they really going to be able to pull this thing through? It's not just about the technological stuff. So yeah, there's a bunch of criteria, some of which are soft and some of which are hard. No, not at all, because these are external to us. So although Naked Energy became an affiliate partner, we see this as a gateway for finding the right partner. So it's a way of starting off with somebody with not too much money, with the potential to contribute to the KIC value, because it can contribute to the community activity and to the momentum that you have in a certain platform area. And you're taking some gamble. Some of them won't fail, some of them won't be successful, and some will. And as they become successful, you start to integrate them with the other partners you've got. So you find them useful partners which will increase the momentum of their company, and you see what will happen. And then they kind of convert from externals to internals. And I don't think there are any conflicts of interest in that process. I think that's a pretty neutral process.
Thank you. Since climate mitigation has a lot to do with energy, and as we saw, some of your projects or several of your projects have to do with energy efficiency and renewable energy. Could you comment on the exchange in the thematic exchange or also operational exchange with the energy KIC? Is it completely independent now at that stage, or is there some linkage? Thanks.
That's a good question. And actually, if you were at the entrepreneurship session yesterday, the SME that won their prize in Brussels, Noam, you could have said was a Climate KIC one, because it was a sort of zero energy house. And you've picked up something that I think is very constructive, which is that there are overlaps, but complementary overlaps between the various KICs. And yes, Climate KIC and InnoEnergy are in discussion about collaborative work at the points where they do meet, because we take slightly different approaches to similar problems, and I think there can be a lot of added value in working together. Yeah, we have a group working on that. I think we should probably stop now. I think, is coffee not meant to be at 10:40? Yes, I think we must stop. So I think if there are any more questions, please do ask us out in the coffee. But thank you all very much.